Hersh, what are we talking about this week?
On this episode, Mark, we are talking about 3 ways, it's actually 2 plus a bonus, of getting in touch with your sphere to generate as much engagement as you possibly can to hit the remainder of your 2024 goals.
Gotcha. So how do you get in front of people in your sphere in a way that adds value?
That's right.
That'll lead to referrals, business, or if nothing else, a happier client that is happier with you and will keep you in mind when they hear about someone that has a need.
That's right. And if you stick around and actually implement every one of these things, which is only 3, by the way.
And pretty easy to do.
Very easy to do. You should have at least 20 people to have conversations with in the next week.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. We're coming right up with this.
Welcome to another episode of Mark and Hersh Spoken with Hersh
and Mark Jones.
Mark, we've got some exciting things that we want to talk about today.
Yeah, we are going to talk about a couple of ways that agents can tactically get in front of their clients again and to get more business.
That's right. As we kick off second half of the year, it is even more important for people to have more conversations to make sure they can achieve their goals that they set out to achieve.
Absolutely. Right? Sometimes it's hard to come up with ways to get in front of people in a way that adds value.
Yeah.
Right? We can add value really well while we're selling a house, while we're listing a house. We can do that easily. When it's between transactions, it gets a little more tricky. And sometimes it's hard to think about, like, how can I get in front of my clients and add value?
That's right. So the first topic that we want to cover today is it's property tax time. That means every single person is going to get a bill. Right. Depending on the county that you're in, everyone's going to get a bill between now and the next couple of weeks for what their value is.
Correct.
So what is your idea for how we should go about using that information to get in front of people?
Yeah, so it's a really simple idea. It's basically texting people from your past client list. And even if they're not a past client, but they're in your sphere and they're a homeowner in the metro area, you can just ask this question. Hey, Hersh, property tax assessments just came out. Have you seen yours yet? They can answer yes or no, right?
Yeah, there's 2 ways.
So we've asked a close-ended question on purpose to get a yes-no response. So when you have a no, what you can easily do is offer to send it to them, right? Because we have access to the assessor websites just like anyone else does. And the client may not even know how to do that. So, and they may not open their mail. I know I have a lot of people that I know, including myself, that don't open every piece of mail that comes in.
It's been about 10 days since I opened mine.
There you go.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier, actually. Yes, you're right. You have not opened your mail.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you could do is if it's a no, like, just offer to send it.
Yeah.
You've added value, right? Easy peasy, right? I can screenshot it. I can send it right over the text, get it right to them.
Yeah.
Or I can email it to them, whatever I prefer. If I don't have their email address, it would be a great opportunity for me to say, hey, what's your email address now? Because the one I have for you is outdated.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll send it to you.
You're completing the information.
Yeah. So you're filling in your database while you're chatting.
Something I thought of, what if you're pulling it for the wrong address? It'd be a great time to update the address too, because the address you might have might be the old house that they sold before you got into real estate, or maybe since you have been in real estate.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
especially if it's not a past client. If it's a past client and you have the wrong address, you haven't been doing a good job staying in touch.
Yes. And that's why we're talking about this.
So what if they say yes, Hersh?
If they say yes, my immediate question is, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, because you want to have a conversation about value, right? Are they upset that their taxes are higher because it's costing them more money? Or are they like, yeah, they're up, but so is my value?
Yeah.
Right? So if they're focused on the cost, the next question is, do you know how much your value has gone up?
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going at this from a perspective of providing value. If they're happy about it, awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you know about it. I'm glad you're happy about it, right?
Right.
But if they're not, then the value that we're providing is the resource that we can share with them that can help them appeal their taxes, which they can do it on their own, but why not use a person to help you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, there are people that specifically help with property tax appeals. There's even a company now that's out there that I've seen on social media a bunch advertising, hey, we can help you appeal your property taxes.
Oh, okay.
So,
interesting.
But calling people with that question, when they say yes, I've seen my property taxes, find out how they feel about it, right? Because you want to know if they're happy, if they're sad, mad, whatever. the next question is, do they understand what the value is? If they're upset about the property taxes, yeah, they went up 50%. It's ridiculous. Like, hey, do you need a resource to appeal those?
Yeah.
You know, you can appeal them.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually have the name and number of someone that does that, that I can recommend. That's a kind of a trusted resource for that.
Yeah.
So you can add value in a whole bunch of different ways. If they don't know what their value is and how much their value has gone up, you can offer to send them a CMA of their property or a quick analysis of what their equity is right now.
Yeah. And if they understand what the range is that they can potentially sell their home for today, you might have planted a seed for them to realize, oh, if I can sell my house for this, I'm okay moving to the suburbs, or I'm okay investing in a property because I've got enough equity to do something with. So it's going to allow you to, again, be a advisor for your database by asking the question at a time that is super relevant.
Right. And if nothing else, you've offered value.
Yeah.
Right. If they didn't take you up on anything.
Yeah.
They know you're there, you care, and you're a trusted resource to help them if they need it.
Yeah. So. And just off the cuff right now, Mark, because we're looking at the Exactly What to Say book by Phil Jones, Jimmy
Great
Mackin,
book.
and was it Chris Smith? One of the questions is, who do you know? One of the magic phrases is, who do you know? If at the end of that conversation, you've had a great conversation, hey, who do you know that might be upset about their property valuations?
Yeah.
Or, hey, who do you know that might be considering selling their home because the property tax is too much for them?
It's gotten out of hand for them.
And you might end up getting referrals out of that.
Yeah, I love that.
So one way to reach out to everyone in your database that is a homeowner.
Right. Along those lines, I'm 55. I have a lot of friends that are hitting 60, 65. So I was having a conversation with one of my friends the other day, and they have their home in one of their names. But the person whose name it is in is younger. Okay. So the older one just turned 62, and he mentioned it. Said, I can't believe I'm 62 now. I was like, yeah, that's crazy. I was like, wait a minute, you're 62. Are you on the deed?
Yeah.
And he said, no. I was like, in DeKalb County, you're a senior.
Yeah.
Like, you can save a ton of money on your taxes.
Absolutely.
So he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And the other one said, how do we do that?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's really easy. You can quick claim your interest in the property to you and him.
Yep.
So then it's in both of your names, so that come January 1, you guys can apply for a senior exemption and save money, just like a homestead exemption.
That's a boatload of money.
But it's a lot bigger when you're 62 or higher, or depending on what the county is, different ages in different counties.
Sure.
Some are 65, et cetera. But my friend was so excited because I just saved them about $4,000 a year. Yeah.
And that's huge. And when they have the conversations with their other friends, you might get a lot of people saying, hey, how do I do this? Yeah. So the second way that we wanted to talk about this is something we learned in KW Wealth about a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And this is something that we've taught in the office before, and I just think it's a great platform to share this right now.
Yeah, it's a 30-second questionnaire. So it's a quick survey you can do in Google Forms, and it asks 4 questions. What are the questions, Hersh?
The questions are, just make sure you're collecting name and email, right? Those are sort of the freebies there. Question number 1 is, have you ever thought about investing in real estate other than your primary residence?
And it's a
yes or no.
Got it.
Question number 2, if you could buy a piece of real estate under market value in the next year, would you consider it? Another yes or no.
Perfect.
Question number 3, if the answer to number 2 was yes, would you guess you would be using cash or getting financing? And 2 options. I'd be using cash, I'd be using getting financing, or I don't know.
Okay.
And question number 4 is, would you like me to let you know if I find a property priced below market value?
Okay.
Yes or no?
So what you've done there is done a quick survey to get people to raise their hand to say, yeah, I'm potentially interested in investing in real estate.
Yeah.
So that you can then have a conversation with them about what that would look like for them and what would be their goal in doing that. So you can add value to them and help them get to that goal.
Yeah. And the biggest thing too, Mark, is you want to be having conversations with people that want to have the conversation back with you.
Right.
So you're engaging with people. You're not just going on a monologue with someone who doesn't really care about investing or is not in a place
Right.
to invest right now.
Right.
And this survey, if sent out properly to your entire database via text, email, phone calls, whatever you want to do, these are the people that you can spend your time with over the next 30 days to build your pipeline for the remainder of 2024 and into 2025.
I've also seen people use it as a way to do what in KW they call a reverse bold 100.
Yeah.
It's a way to get 100 people to contact you.
Yeah.
Using that questionnaire as the questions to have people reach out to you in order to enter a drawing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm giving away a big green egg. And to do that, you just have to call me or you have to fill out this questionnaire.
Yeah.
Like you could do it as simply as like, here's a link to enter.
Yeah.
You have to answer the questions. They're all required. And once you've entered them, then you're entered into the drawing.
Yeah. And it collects the names and emails. If you didn't already have them,
Right.
It collected that. But you could also share it with other people because it's a Google form.
Right.
And if I say, hey, share it with as many people, people love entering drawings, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to do the reverse bold 100 method.
It's a great way to get new contact information.
Exactly.
So growing your database.
Yeah. So then have name, number, and email. So you can collect all three if you don't already have that, if new people are also doing that.
Love it.
Yeah.
The other way you can do it is you can do it on social media and
Yeah.
Just ask people on social media
As a poll.
to fill it out as a poll.
Yeah.
They can, or here's a link.
Yeah.
Let them fill it out.
Sure.
But you're spreading it then further than just your database.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. And there's a possibility that you can capture a lot of new people through social media. And we know people that are doing massive businesses just by social media lead generation.
Absolutely. And there's something I want to share that
Sure.
one of our agents shared with me recently.
Yeah.
Who is doing a lot of work with social media and getting a lot of business from it. She made a comment to me that she's like, I thought that I would have to have thousands of followers to get a good amount of business from social media. She said, the reality is I have 600 followers, but there's a lot of engagement.
Yeah.
And part of that is because I drive the engagement. So I said, say more about that because I want to understand what
Sure.
you do.
Sure.
And she followed everyone in her database, and then Instagram instantly suggests 5 people. And it's usually similar types of people or people that they know. So she would then follow those 5 people.
Yeah.
And then she would start watching their feeds and comment, right? So she'd interact with their posts.
Sure.
And when people follow her back, she has sort of a canned response that she cuts and pastes, so it's
Okay.
super easy. But it's basically like, hey, Hersh, thanks for following me. I really appreciate the support for me and my account and my small business. Do you have a small business that I can support as well?
Wow. That's brilliant.
Right? So it starts a
It's
dialogue.
yeah.
And if nothing else, you've just like offered to help someone, whether they can accept the help or not, have a small business or not. It's a really great way to engage people. And then she said, and some people still don't engage with that. So she said, I don't care. I'm just going to keep reaching out to them every couple of months and checking in and just being like, hey, love that post. Hey, that looks like a great vacation. Whatever, just commenting on things that they've done, not just on their feed, but also in their DMs.
Yeah. And isn't that what we do with online leads anyway?
Yeah.
We're engaging with people that may or may not want to respond back to you.
Right.
At least this way, you can keep it natural.
Right.
So I think that's brilliant.
Well, one of the things that she said was she, at the beginning of her career, worked with a lot of people that really had very different philosophical and political ideologies from her. And she made a decision. She didn't want to have to filter who she is.
Sure.
So she now is very open about her thoughts and her life. So anyone that's interacting with her on social media is okay with her thoughts and her ideologies and who she is.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to pretend, and she can be authentically herself. So then she's getting people that know and like her for who she is on social media because they're getting to learn her on social media.
Sure.
So it's it's engagement and authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. So I think those two things can create leads on social media for agents, regardless of whether you have 10,000 followers or not.
Yeah. And I think quite the opposite is true. If you have 10,000 people, you're not going to be able to talk to all 10,000 of those on a regular cadence, right?
Right.
You have to, at that point, use mass marketing or mass something, right? But if you have a few hundred people, it's really easy to touch base with every one of those.
Yeah.
And you set up a DTD2 format, which is do the database too, which is 13 weeks of who to contact, right?
Right.
And that's super easy to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to, since we were talking about social media,
Yeah.
just wanted to get that in there because I thought that was like a little nugget that was brilliant.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's it for this week's episode of The Market Has Spoken.
I'm Mark Jones.
And I'm Hersh Shah. See you next week.
We'll see you next time.